Hi, it's me. Every time that I do one of these videos, I see it as an opportunity to research and learn about a franchise that may exist just outside of my purview. And 2 weeks ago, I had that opportunity with Poppy Playtime. Poppy's Playtime.
Poppy's Playtime. Poppy's Playtime.
It won our user-requested poll housed on our Discord, and I got to learn a lot about this franchise I knew nothing about. And the video ended up being a ton of fun. I got to be just as surprised as you guys at what ended up coming out of that video. So I decided to do it again. Again! This time, hosting that poll on my Patreon. Ended up being that Undertale won. I figure I know Undertale. I played it the first week that it came out, so I must fully remember all of the lore and story of that game. I was wrong. I got a ton of stuff messed up, but I ended up making some designs that I'm really happy with either way. So check out both those videos if you get the chance. Poppy Playtime Part 1, as well as the Undertale video. Those are both on the channel. But today, I thought, why not even the playing field?
2 steps ahead.
You see, Poppy Playtime Chapter 4 is coming out soon, but it's not out yet. So I figure, why not make a video that not only looks at what the characters who've been revealed would look like as Pokemon, but also speculate on what their purposes might be in the game. I think it's going to be a fun experiment, a fun chance to just kind of play with these designs, not so much what they are, but what they have the potential to become. So without much further ado, I think that we all kind of understand what we're doing today. A little bit different, but much same. So let's hop into the video. Thanks me from 20 minutes ago. I'm the Thesterninator, but my friends call me Stern. Welcome to the channel, and yes, today we are looking at another Poppy Playtime characters as Pokemon. Last week we took a look at the primary antagonists of Poppy Playtime chapters 1, 2, and 3, but with the reveal of some of our main antagonists in Yarnaby and Babachops, I knew it was only a matter of time before I found myself focusing my attention on these monstrosities. We don't know a ton about these guys yet, so I got to do a little speculation while working on these designs, so let's hop into it. Starting out with Babachops, we know that she belongs to the Smiling Critters collection and will serve as the potential main antagonist of Chapter 4. Her inspiration is kind of all over the place, with some claiming she was inspired by YouTuber Sheep Rampage, despite Sheep Rampage refuting these claims. Her personality certainly makes us think of the term Black Sheep, meaning an outcast or different from the associated group. Babachops tends to stray away from the other Smiling Critters, with the character description notes reading, "The black sheep of the bunch." Baba refers to keep her space, like a lot of space. Too much space. She can be distant, quiet, low energy, and it usually requires a lot of coaxing to get her out of the house. Luckily for her, she has some very persistent friends. She usually perks up after a while, but the next day, we're right back to the same tune. I have a different theory for Babachops' inspiration though. January 13th, 1992 marked the official air date of Lamb Chop's Play Along. This show followed Sherry Lewis, Lamb Chop's creator and puppeteer, as well as the main character Lamb Chop as a sock puppet style host. My theory is that given both hers and Babachop's plushy appearances, the sharing of the same species, and the word chop appearing in both names, despite I know it's a reference to Lamb Chops, it kind of just makes sense that these two would be connected in some way. I mean, why not base a fictional toy on a real sensation? One that was so big that it ended up airing on PBS right before Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. That's a highly coveted spot on TV. So it makes me wonder if maybe this character was inspired by that specific children's toy, show, and line of merchandise. I don't know, it feels kind of out there, but Lamb Chop definitely has some sort of connection, at least design-wise, to this new creature in Babachops. So I want to introduce you to Malam. The name derives from mal, meaning bad, which will make some sense in the next form, as well as our understanding of the character's supposed role in Chapter 4 as an antagonist. And of course, throwing in the word lamb to remind you of its instance, there's not a ton that's changed between this design and the actual design of Bobochops, but this is a dark type, with the shiny even referencing the colors of Lambchop, the children's show character. It has that overused sock white and that pinkish red, which in this design gives a very different feel than what they were going for with Lambchop, kind of being a reference to a tube sock, very clearly and very innocently. Here, that's kind of turned on its head with that blood red type of coloring. This next form is where that speculation comes in. The Poppy Playtime wiki states, Bobochops is an efficient and ruthless killer, having killed and collected hundreds of small toys. Given this large surplus of food, it appears she now kills for sport rather than a need for sustenance. Instead of searching for prey, she utilizes her collected corpses as a deadly lure, one meant for any toy who dares enter her domain. Given this and the use of the term collection, and its use of lures, I thought of this Pokemon as collecting and housing other Pokemon. It houses them in this thick wool, entangling them both Pokemon and trainers alike. As it collects, its wool grows bigger and fluffier, enveloping its prey. Maybe it would even have an attack to reference this strange ability. Your trusty Porydex tells you that this is a dark type, so you have your team ready for any move that it could throw your way from the dark type move pool. When it suddenly unleashes a fire spin, a move not in that designated pool. As the smoke clears, you can see that this attack did not in fact come from the Pokemon, but instead from a fire type that has been trapped in its wool for who knows how long. I speculate that Bobochops will have an ability similar to this in Chapter 4, absorbing its fallen friends into itself to grow bigger and more powerful. I think it would be an interesting balance to have a beefier enemy after having just dealt with Catnap, a more cerebral foe, and Mommy Longlegs, who's focused more on her spider-like and intricate movements. I'm really interested and curious to see where they end up going with this design and with kind of what it ends up looking like. I'm sure we'll get like a second form to it in game, but until then, this is my speculation that it's been kind of eating and devouring, hunting for sport, its other smiling critters and maybe even other people in the facility. And from that, it's only grown bigger. It's only grown beefier. It's only becoming more of a muscle-faced creature. Rather than something that you have to think your way out of and run from, maybe it's something that you have to actually combat. I think it'd be really interesting and a really fun twist to the game. I know that Huggy Wuggy's kind of our muscle guy, but I think it'd be really cool. This is Masshap. Its name is a play on mishap, as well as when mispronounced with the shush sound, instead it sounds like misshape, mashap. While both incorporate the ma sound that keep this feeling like a sheep. Masshap has gotten a big increase in power alongside this new ability. I just need to find a way to make it work. As per usual, let me know down in the comments what abilities today's Pokemon would have. It's not my forte, but you all seem to be amazing at it, so I'm interested to hear what you think. The shiny retains that Lambchop color scheme, which I actually really like for this line. It's just the right aura of creepy, while still giving that standard white sheep coloring. Also, it's a little out there, but whenever they are actually having sheep mate, they'll cover a ram in red paint or red coloring so that they can know which other sheep it's mated with. Maybe a reference to this type of red, I don't know. Something I'm just noticing in the editing that makes kind of sense in the actual animal inspiration. Looking out in a field and seeing a white sheep with red splattered across its chest. As a person who wouldn't know what that means, it can be terrifying.
What did they put in their suitcases?
What suitcases?
Yeah, no, well, you know, the suitcases had their stuff in it so they could spend the whole winter in the south.
Next would be Yarnaby as our other enemy in Chapter 4, but I got a lot of requests for Boxy-Boo, so let's touch up on that before we move ahead. I thought about Boxy-Boo for a while and focused primarily on its ambush aspect. It's a jack-in-the-box that holds a devious enemy, and I think that absolutely fits into any Pokemon region with a few changes. When I think about ambush Pokemon, I don't think about boxes. In the real world, boxes tend to hold stuff that we might want, but in the Pokemon world, most items are found within Pokeballs spread throughout the region in-game. I think of Pokemon like Voltorb, or Fungus, or Hisuian Stunfisk. All of these Pokemon use the Pokeball shape to take advantage of foolish trainers. And so I wanted to do the same with Boxy-Boo, making it a sharp-toothed and grabby Pokeball. It may lose a few sides and corners, but this one became more about capturing the concept of what Boxy-Boo is, rather than trying to match a one-to-one design for the character. Plus, I really like the fake Pokeball mechanic. I have been looking for an opportunity to design one of these guys, and this seemed kind of to fit. I post all of the Pokemon from each video in our community Discord as well, so if you want to take a look at the previous Pokemon we've done, then check out the description below and become a part of our ever-growing community. All of the Pokemon that I've designed for our Five Nights at Freddy's stuff, for our this stuff, Undertale, all of that fun stuff, Nightmare Before Christmas, can be found on that Discord in our resources channel. These designs will be posted there this evening with the designs from last week's Poppy Playtime video already there. And here we have Bolly-Boo. Bolly-Boo is the mimicking Pokemon. It's a normal steel type since it's a Pokeball, something fairly normal, but also something made of steel. Maybe the Pokemon World equivalent of Playtime Co. wanted to develop toys for kids that weren't old enough to go on their own Pokemon journey yet. Maybe those toys ended up becoming a lot more sentient, deciding they wanted to capture stuff themselves and thus creating Bolly-Boo. The shiny uses a Master Ball color, so as much as you want to catch this shiny, trust me that it wants to catch you just as badly.
Now inside every Burger King Big Kids meal you buy.
Yarnaby. Yarnaby, Yarnaby, Yarnaby. This Pokemon was my episode's problem child. I didn't know what to do. In the design for Yarnaby, he's just this big ball of string and yarn and fluff, and this head that pops out of the center. Works really, really well for Poppy Playtime, but I find myself saying something I don't think I've ever said before. It's far too simple for a Pokemon. I had to find a way to make this interesting and exciting, and while I know Yarnaby is a cool and exciting character that I'm excited to see pop up in the new Poppy Playtime, as a person who hasn't played the other games, it's one of the reasons that I'm pushing myself to get into them. How do you add on enough to make it interesting while still looking like Yarnaby? I played around with the head a dozen times, honestly because I'm kind of tired of making these round heads. I did Nightmare Before Christmas, Jack. Big white round head. I did Undertale, Sans. Big white round head. So the question for me, at least internally, became, how do I not just do that again? How do I not become that guy? So I focused more on the lion aspect, still keeping some of that roundness to the head, but focusing more on that lion type look. I even looked at character designs like Blitzwolfer from Ben 10, and how the mouth splits open in that cool and interesting way. Honestly, that was always one of my favorite aliens who's been severely underutilized, and I'll tell you this while you're here, if you've stuck around long enough, a Ben 10 as alien Pokemon mix mashup is coming. Let me rephrase that. A Ben 10 aliens as Pokemon mashup video is coming, I just don't know when. And yeah, I ended up looking at this, trying to figure out what to do, and then integrating in that rainbow aesthetic. For the design, I ended up going with something that captured all of that while still keeping it kind of dark, keeping it a little bit more intimidating. I ended up making the main body black just to make that flowing rainbow mane stand out more. Since I was moving away from that weird caterpillar-like body, I wanted something that made it still feel like a lion, while still also feeling intimidating. I didn't want to go all crazy and wild with this all over the place type of rainbow look, and maybe that was a mistake, but I'm pretty happy with what this ends up becoming. I think that it works while still moving away and keeping close enough to the initial concept of Yarnaby that it kind of works. I don't know. I'm playing with it. Again, it's kind of difficult when you don't even know the personality of this character that you can attach it to. Of course, we have all that from the wiki, even the name of the kid who it was who became this creature. It's a loyal character. It's something that the problem was not so much that it was wild and reckless, but that it was too loyal to the people who were close to it. So, it's a lion. That's just a lion. I kind of pulled my hair out on this one. And so all that brought together creates Barbany, a play on the Barbary lion, an ancient lion that went extinct years and years ago, but was absolutely massive and ferocious, while also still playing up that Yarnaby vibe. So, Barbany, the multicolored Pokemon. It is a fighting fairy type because just going off of the look and energy of it, that felt right. Again, we don't know a ton about this character in game, so I had to make some stuff up. For the shiny, I went with this color that just kind of changes the spectrum of what we're looking at for this rainbow, and as you can tell by its size, it's a pretty decently sized Pokemon. I wanted it to feel like something you can ride. For its power, it's fairly strong. It's a beefy boy. It's a beefy boy, and I'm pretty happy with it. I know that it doesn't necessarily hit exactly who Yarnaby is. We change up some of the shapes and some of the colors a little bit, but I feel like it still works in a lot of ways. And that brings us to the end of... Oh, Huckawug! Good to see you from last video. How's it going? This isn't your video. Yeah, you were in last week's. Don't be sad. Look, I'll make it up to you. I mean, you do have one more form in game technically. I just don't know if it's fitting as a new evolution. I do think I may have an idea for you though. Just hold on tight. Hold on, just stay right there. I just gotta run to Galar for something really quick. Okay, I'm back. And yeah, a lot of people wanted to see Nightmare Huggy Wuggy, who appears due to Catnap's induced nightmare, and so I thought it would be cool to utilize that form for a Gigantamax. This means I'd have to change up the way that I design Pokemon a little bit. Gigantamax changed a lot of the rules for rendering, like the light source being moved from the top left of the Pokemon, now down to the lower center, illuminating it from below. That is kind of different. That's not something that we're super used to, but it is something that happened. The shading moved from a gray tint to a red tint, and of course, we changed the line color to acknowledge that immense power and size of the Pokemon. So I stretched out a Hugawug design and brought him in some of those nightmare qualities. The proportions of a Gigantamax are often exaggerated, almost like a caricature that you get at the beach. So I took a look at our Pokemon and tried to find areas that we could expand out bigger. I separated the fingers of the gloves and added that twisted, broad smile. In that video, I also talked about how much I tried and wanted to keep Hugawug blue, but experimented with a withered grayish color that just never made the final design. Well, now it feels like it's time for that color scheme to shine. These videos always allow me to research into this world that I previously knew nothing about, and that is thanks to you guys. Every Monday I post a poll on my Patreon for our Wednesday video. This week we worked on Undertale, last week we did Poppy Playtime, and I constantly hear people in the comments and on the Discord asking for Kaiju and Has Been Hotel and Hell of a Boss and all shows like that, and I'm just gonna direct you, go and check out the poll. It's free, it's for all members of the Patreon, not just the paying members, so you're able to vote and decide what the Wednesday video is gonna be. And you guys showed so much love to both Undertale and the Poppy Playtime video that I knew I'd have to come back to this one. And this design, this Gigantamax that challenged me so much on the concept, makes me glad that I did. It's fun, and I get to play with a lot of the different ideas for, again, I know I've said it a dozen times, a franchise I otherwise would probably never have looked at. So you guys made this possible. You guys voted for Poppy Playtime, despite the fact that, I'll be honest, at the time I didn't want it to win because I didn't know anything about it, but now that I do, I love this franchise. I'm super excited about it. It's a franchise that's gotten me into thinking more about getting back into streaming on Twitch and YouTube Live. So all of that to say, thank you. This was a ton of fun. I mean, look at this guy. What can I say about G-Max Hugawug that hasn't already been said? The shiny still references Kissy Missy, and despite appearances, he's still the hugging Pokemon. You just may lose a few vertebrae in the process. It's just the right balance of terrifying and Pokemon, with the Gigantamax forms kind of allowing us to play a little bit more with that big, terrifying, stomping kaiju-esque creature type of idea. But what do you think about G-Max Hugawug, and what do you think about our other designs for this video? And don't forget to subscribe so that you can keep up with the 3 weekly videos that I release. That's a region overview for Coastal West on Monday, poll videos on Wednesday, and grab bag stuff on Friday for just whatever happened to be popular, whatever you guys happen to be interested in. Arcane Season 2 drops this weekend, so I'm definitely going to be taking that into consideration. And Wolverine and Deadpool drops next weekend, thinking about that too. And so Fridays are always a good opportunity to kind of play around with our formula a little bit. So yeah, it's a ton of fun. You can find me at the Patreon down below for polls and voting, and you can join our Discord community for references, tips, and a great group of over 800 fans and supporters. This week, we hit 15,000 subscribers. Let me just say that number again. We hit 15,000 subscribers. That's not a real number. That's not a number of people who actually exist. And yet, here you are. That's insane. That's amazing. And I just want to thank you guys so much for that. I don't think I ever will be able to thank you enough, but I can try. I have a couple projects that I'm working on in the background, some stuff maybe, I don't know, fan games, podcasts, things like that are going to be coming to this channel potentially, hopefully, we'll see. And I'm hoping it's going to be cool. I can't give a lot of information about it yet, but it is stuff that I'm very excited for. I've got some collabs that I'm pumped about coming out soon, and I'm glad that you guys are going to be there to watch them. So like, comment, subscribe, or just watch the videos. That means a lot to me too, just seeing the views go up for these things. It shows me that you're interested in the same stuff that I'm interested in, and that make me happy. So thank you guys so much. But beyond all that, it sounds like you know where to find me. 15,000 of you know where to find me. So I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.